Hello, everyone. This is Alexander Horat, your host of the Morgan Millennial Minute Report. The show is brought to you by David Morgan of themorganreport.com. If you could please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, that would be really appreciated. Today, we're having a very special guest named Mark Taylor on the show. He is the leader of Make Your Mark Today, a company which helps people's websites with search engine optimization. Hello, Mark. Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, Alexander, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. How about you?
Oh, pretty good. I'm up here in Canada, so things are starting to cool down a little bit now that it's fall, but overall, I like it when it starts to get cold. Fall's my favorite time of year, and kind of hunker down and work a lot in the winter, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds great, Mark. So I wanted to ask you a little bit how millennials can optimize their website viewing on search engines.
Yeah, so that's it's a question that a lot of people want to ask, and a lot of people are curious about. Um, how to optimize your website for search engines is essentially what my entire company does, right? There's a variety of different aspects of search engine optimization, or SEO is what we call it in the industry, and there's over 200 ranking factors for it. So to ask me, hey, how do I get more website visitors to my website? Well, it really depends. It depends what your website's about. Is it a blog just on your hobbies? Is it a local service business? Is it more of an international company? So it really starts with the purpose of your website, because that is really going to dictate the very first step, which is finding out what searches are applicable for the audience that you want to bring to your website. So that's really the first step, is figuring out what your audience is and what they would potentially be searching. One of the best ways, if you have a local service-based business, you could be a roofing company, power washing, cleaning, whatever. Those businesses tend to have the biggest leaps from 0 to 50 plus visitors a day on their websites if you do SEO properly.
Okay, so how can people make their SEO good and do it properly?
So the very first step of that is, as I kind of mentioned before, figuring out the searches that you want to rank for. So maybe you want to rank for roofing company in Nashville, or Nashville roofing, something like that. And so once you find out what those searches are, the second step is to actually build out pages that are specifically designed to solve the searcher's need for that search. It's almost a one-to-one ratio. So you find a search, you build a page for it. You find another search, you build a page for it. Now, if the searches are relatively the same, like if it's roofing company in Nashville and best roofing companies in Nashville, that's probably just the one page you need to build for that. So that's kind of where we start next, is building out the actual content on your website. And to start, where most people end up, what at least I see when our companies come to us, the biggest mistake that they make is using the heading formatting, whether they're using Squarespace, WordPress, whatever, as a way to just format your text. So you might have a quote that's big and it says, hey, we're the best roofing company. But they use an H1, which is a type of heading within web design that basically just tells Google and search engines, hey, this is how the page is formatted. So right off the bat, that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people making, is they use these headings to format all the different text throughout their site, makes their web page look really good, but comes with the downside, because the headings are really there in order for Google and people coming onto your site to understand it better. So in H1, you can basically think of that as your page title. So what is your page title about? Hey, roofing company in Nashville, right? Boom, you immediately check that first box. Someone did a Google search for roofing company in Nashville. Your H1, the very first thing that they see on the page is, hey, we're a roofing company in Nashville. Check, check. That's one of the biggest things too, because when people land on your web page, if it's not what they expect from a Google search result, they're going to be off there right away. So you have to give that right into the check. The next point is to make sure the rest of the headings are formatted in a good way. So you could have a bunch of H2s going on. That's like why choose our roofing company, or pros and cons of metal versus asphalt roofs. So the rest of your content really has to be structured in a way that Google can understand. So using those headings is a way to kind of chunk out sections of your actual web page, almost like paragraphs in, like, if you're writing an essay or something, but you title each one of the paragraphs. So that's the first thing you need to do, is write out that content. The second thing you need to do is go and do an actual Google search for whatever you're trying to rank for. So if you're trying to rank for roofing companies in Nashville, do that search. Who comes up first? Who comes up second? Who comes up third? Go and look at all of their web pages. What are they doing that's better than you? What content do they have on their website that is giving the users better information about what services that they offer? So you need to not just compare that, but then you need to make your content better than what they do. So maybe, they have a lot of good written content, but there's no video. So you do a lot of good written content and then add a video as well. And I just want to also warn people too, because when it comes to SEO, the second you try to take any shortcuts, so if you try to, just copy a full paragraph from your competitor's webpage, or if you try to do anything like, I mean, people still do, where you have white text on a white background to like get your keywords in. The second you try to like trick the system, you're going to be penalized by Google. So do not try to pull any tricks. Really just try to focus on giving the searcher a better website result. So that's really the second step, is building out that entire content on your page, using those headings to make sure it's better than your competitors. So once we do that, another big step that business owners need to do is look at that web page in mobile, because increasingly every year there's more and more people that do a search from their phone as opposed to on the desktop. And there are still tons of websites where you pull it up on the phone and the text is cut off and images are cut off and things are formatted really big and you can only see like someone's eye, and there's just so many weird things that happen on mobile. So make sure that your page loads appropriately for both of those. So that's really the next step. There is some technical SEO things which I could get into, but I'm going to kind of leave it at a high level view for now, just because honestly, the content is really what matters. And if you do technical SEO but don't have the content there, it doesn't really matter that you're doing really good technical SEO. So after you do that, the last step is building your backlinks. And I know some people say backlink building is dead, and it kind of is, but you still need links to your website, because that's still, and it always will be, a good ranking factor that helps Google determine which web page is better for your business. So if you can imagine that there's a housing and construction magazine that's really big in the States, I'm not sure what one off the top of my head, but if they say link to your roofing company, but they didn't link to your competitor's roofing company, well, hey, that's a pretty good signal that you are a pretty reliable roofing company. So that's the next step, is building a couple of those backlinks. That can be pretty hard, but there's a lot of really good services and SEO companies out there that can help you with the backlink building. But that's really the next step. And kind of almost like a 3A, 3B with that step is your reviews, especially if you're a local service-based business. And by local business, you can be national, but when you search in Google, they give you results that are close to your area, because you could have a nationwide law firm, but when people are searching in, say, LA and looking for a lawyer in LA, you're not going to get results from Nashville, right? So you can have a local service-based business that is very, very broad. That's one of the reasons why kind of Amazon got really big, was because they made sure that any sort of search that had their products, they were ranking for. And they're also buying Google ads. They bought a lot of Google ads in the early days of Amazon. But anyways, I digress. So reviews, if you're a local service-based business, are huge. And I can tell you too, we had one client that we rebuilt their website. It was like pristine, perfect SEO done, perfect content, way better than everyone else. We had videos, everything, the whole 9 yards. And they weren't ranking. They weren't getting on page 1 for their search term, and their primary search term too, which had like, I think 15,000 searches a month. So it was this huge search term, and we're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why can't we figure this out? And I compared and compared. I looked through everything and I'm like, no, everything that we've done SEO wise is good, except for one thing. Their reviews, they had 3 reviews over their entire like 3 years of history. And their competitors had, 150 reviews over like 5 years. And they weren't getting a ton of reviews, mind you, but 1, 2, maybe 3 reviews a month. And it doesn't matter if the reviews are 1 star or 5 star. You getting the reviews in on an ongoing basis shows Google that you're an active business and that people care about you and are providing feedback that helps other people determine if you're a good business or not. And I strictly like to recommend, because I've had a few clients as well come in to Make Your Mark Today to do our SEO services. And so many of them are like, only 5-star reviews. Like, we only ask our very best clients for 5-star reviews. Like, we don't want to see a 3-star, 2-star. No, we're going to call the people up and say, hey, why'd you give us a 2-star? Like, what can we do to make it a 5-star? And they just go so intense on getting only 5-star reviews. And Alexander, I'll ask you this question too. What would you think if you searched for, I don't know, so let's say a barbershop and you saw only 5-star reviews? Do you think that's a trustworthy business?
Well, I suppose if there's a lot of them, they could be fake reviews.
Yeah, exactly. They could be fake reviews. And Google thinks that as well. If they see 250 reviews that are all 5 stars, it's like, really? You got 200 people to give you 5-star ratings? Like, how did you get that? So don't try to trick the system. And when you are searching for products, or at least when I'm searching for products, whether that's on Amazon or local businesses around, people go and read the reviews, and most people skip by the 5-star reviews. They don't care. They want to know, what do the 1-star reviews say? And that gives the business owner a really, really good opportunity to show those other customers saying, hey, you know what, when we get a 1-star review, we try to make things right. Or we try to, acknowledge this customer's hurt and that, we're so sorry, whatever. Make sure those reviews are crafted with like the utmost care. And then as soon as you get one of those 1-star reviews in, craft a really, really well, kind, thought out response. And then, try to make the situation better. But then don't try to like continue on the you don't want to go for tit for tat with people and create a chain of angry business owner versus angry customer type thing. That just doesn't work well for anyone. But then after that, it's really about showing Google and your users that after you get that 1-star review, hey, 3 weeks later, we got another 5-star review. So listen, sometimes we recognize they're just not great experiences. Everyone's different. We can't control everyone's experience. But if you get that next 5-star review in, well, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we're still a good business. And that's what Google sees. That's what the users see. And it's getting more and more intuitive that way. So honestly, at a high level, that's really it. Find the searches you want to rank for. Make sure there's a lot of search volume for it. Write the content on your website and make pages specifically designed to rank for those searches. Use backlink building and reviews to increase the authority and the trustworthiness of your business or your website. And that's really the solution to Google search optimization. That is super high level. I will say another really common mistake that people make is try to rank for keywords that they don't have a lot of search volume on. So you might be trying to rank for, let's say you do foundation repair and you're trying to rank for, best foundation waterproofing company. Well, maybe only 10 people a month are searching for that. And while it's great that you're trying to rank for that, your efforts might be better focused on the search for foundation crack repair, right? Which has, I think off the top of my head, I think it has like 5,000 searches a month for it in Canada, at least, and about 16, 18,000 per month in the US. And so by looking at that, it's like, okay, we could make a page for the lower search target, but really we want to make sure we're targeting the searches that are searched more frequently, because then that'll give us more exposure to more people searching. And so that's where tools like Ahrefs, ahrefs.com, moz.com, M-O-Z. There's also Uber Suggest. They have lots of different keyword tools, even Google Trends. you can go and compare searches to see which ones are more popular. And you can even like narrow it down to like localities, like states and provinces. So that's really like a big mistake that people will make as well. So make sure that you're ranking for searches or trying to rank for searches that are searched broadly with a lot of volume. But also sometimes too, you need to understand the competitiveness of a search. Like basketball shoes has hundreds of thousands of searches every month, right? There's millions of people who want basketball shoes. But if you're a new basketball shoe company, you're not going to be able to rank against Nike and Adidas. Now, mind you, you could, but it's going to take decades and millions of dollars into your SEO work, into your branding, into your marketing in order to get there. So while that's possible, you do have to keep in mind who you're trying to rank against and what type of search it is. And that's really why I really love working with and helping small business owners out, or not necessarily small, but businesses that provide local services or products and services, because Google has what we call local search results. So obviously, like I mentioned before, you search for a lawyer in Nashville, you get a lawyer in Nashville, not one in LA. And so that's great because law firms in Nashville are not competing against law firms in LA. So that provides a really good opportunity because there's just less competition for those searches. So that's really why I like the local businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, that is how you kind of go about doing SEO for your website.
Yeah, that sounds really great. You gave some really good tips for the viewers. And just out of curiosity, is it mostly Google AI that ranks SEOs and businesses, or is it real people?
So Google has created, yes, an AI, which is their algorithm. Everyone talks about the Google algorithm, but it is its own living entity. It's not necessarily controlled by people, but as humans and the people at Google, they do try to send changes to Google to try to teach it and to train it in the ways that they've identified as humans are not the best for search results. So while yes, they are working on the Google algorithm, it is its own entity that is trying to determine the best search results. And that's why sometimes if anyone on here who's interested in SEO has gone to any of the Google Hangouts where you can chat one-on-one with some of Google's lead algorithm experts. And sometimes they'll tell you one thing, but you'll see in the Google search results the exact opposite. And so a lot of SEOs like myself are like, okay, like what's really going on here? But in reality, everyone has the same goal. And between Google's AI, the people working at Google, and the business owners as well, or the website owners, you should all have the same goal, which is to provide the best results, the best web page, the best content for a searcher's given desires or the searcher's intent. So that's really the ultimate goal. That's what Google AI is trying to get to. That's what the people at Google are trying to teach its AI to get to. And as website owners, that's what we should also be trying to provide for Google and their team.
Yeah, so the way the AI ranks the SEO is pretty standard then. Like the rules don't really change across from a different website from another one, right? Or does it get really different with different websites, like the way they rank them?
It doesn't matter too much on the websites. It matters more so on what the search is, where the search is coming from, and what the potential searcher's intent could be. And so that is really how the Google search results are going to change around. It's not really dedicated too much on websites, although there are some really cool things you can do. You can add in what is called schema. This is kind of some technical SEO, and that's basically data on a web page that is underlying that you don't see visually. And so that's where you can do things like add in FAQs, and obviously they should be on your web page too, but you can add in FAQs into the code in the schema, and then Google will actually display FAQs below your search result. So it gives you a nice big chunk of real estate in the Google search results, which actually really helps increase your click-through rate.
Okay, so can you give us an example of how much more revenue a company has gotten because of an improved SEO for their business on their websites?
Yeah, so I can give you a few examples. One of my favorite examples is working with our clients that start from basically zero, like the businesses who are just trying to get off the ground. And they might be doing 50 to 200,000 a year. My puppy's coming through. And they might be doing 50 to $200,000 a year, and we bring them from getting, maybe they're getting 1 to 10 clients depending on their business a month, and we bring that to 1 to 10 clients per day. It's okay. Sorry, my dog's in the background working from home. And so one of my favorite examples is a law firm that we worked with, and they were probably doing about 100K a year, and we have increased their revenue, I think like something like 374% in a matter of I think it was like 13 months. So that's huge, right? That's completely life changing. They've hired on, I think, 3 additional employees, and this is like 1 year of growth. So that really goes to show you the power that getting high intent customers to your website really has with Google.
Yeah, I have to agree. It seems really important to have a good SEO for millennials who are making money online, whether they have a blogging company or just selling stuff online. So, could you tell the viewers a little bit about how they can find your website and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you guys can go to makeyourmarktoday.ca, and that is where you can find all of our company's services on search engine optimization and conversion rate optimization as well, which is in forms of marketing, the highest ROI, so return on investment. Do you know what it is, Alexander?
No, can you tell us?
It is conversion rate optimization. It's not SEO. It's not pay-per-click ads with Google. It's not Facebook ads, Instagram ads. It's not even TikTok ads. It's none of that. It's not YouTube ads. Nothing. It's conversion rate optimization, because you could have 100,000 people coming to your website, but if you are not physically serving them and telling them, hey, do this next, click this button next, and if you're not trying to increase that as much as possible, people will not take action. It's not enough to just have good content, because what do you want someone to do? Do you want them to buy a product? Do you want them to fill out a contact form? What do you want them to do? Increasing that, it can go from having a 1% conversion rate on your site to 5%. You just 5x your new incoming customers. And that could be, a 2-month project for $2,000. And all of a sudden your business just 5x itself overnight. So that's really the highest form of marketing. So you can learn about those services all on makeyourmarktoday.ca. For any millennials wanting to better their personal finances, I also have a YouTube channel. That's Money with Mark, and you can learn all about that there. And I will say for millennials, we have it really tough. As far as housing goes, if you look back to the 70s, the average wage to house price was 2.5 times. So, if you're making $5,000 a year, the house price was about less than 30,000. I think 15,000 is a better mark for a wage back then, and you're looking at $40-ish thousand for a house. In today's numbers, it's 9 times the average annual salary is the house price. Millennials, we do not have our purchasing power is so much lower just because the cost of goods are so much higher. So as millennials, having a savings rate of 15% is just not going to cut it. We need side hustles. We need to house hack. We need to just be better with our personal finances, because we don't have the wiggle room that generations before had. So if you're looking to better your personal finances, check out my YouTube channel at Money with Mark.
Okay, that sounds really great, Mark, and I would like to thank you for being on the show today, and I hope we can have you on the show again soon. Is there anything else you'd like to add in the video?
No, that's it. Thank you very much for having me on. It was a pleasure talking to you and everyone else out there, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Yeah, that sounds great. Likewise, and I'd like to thank all the viewers who are watching. Please subscribe to the morganreport.com, and thank you, everyone. God bless.